I have never done this streaming on my phone before, so forgive me for it being maybe a little bit freaking terrible. Anyway, I just wanted to do a super quick little stream before I hop on and play some Deus Ex. I just wanted to tell you guys about my thoughts on Gaming Con and Salt Lake Comic Con, or Salt Lake Gaming Con. This was the third year that I've gone, well, third year that they've done it, and it was really fun. My other two friends that are part of GamersPressPlay, Randy and Steve, they actually are both out of town, so I just went solo, but I brought solo from GamersPressPlay, but I brought one of my friends that she's not really a gamer, so it was interesting to introduce her to the whole really nerdy side of Salt Lake. With a lot, she hadn't ever been to either Comic-Cons either, so it was really fun for her to do a lot of people watching. So in years past, so the first year of Gaming Con, it was a couple years after Salt Lake Comic Con started up, and in my opinion, I think that Gaming Con was trying really hard to not compete, kind of right on the skirts of Comic Con to try to follow the fan base, which is smart on their part because there's a lot of nerds in Utah, and it was a little bit bare bones, I would say. They didn't have a ton to really showcase, but it was still entertaining. It was still a good time to go and hang out, but it definitely wasn't like a 3-day convention. And the second year, last year, it was significantly better. They had a lot more crowds. They had a lot more gaming sections, a lot of cosplayers. I actually cosplayed for my very first time ever as a division agent, and that was really fun. A few people knew who I was, stopped to take my picture, so it was cool. And they did a good job with the shops last year too. I will say there were a lot of shops, or not shops necessarily, but like booths to buy stuff from. This year, I would say that they had less shops, but there were more gaming sections, which was really nice to have, obviously, at a gaming con. But a big negative, I will say, is that there weren't really very many controller options at the Nintendo booth, or not Nintendo booth, but the Nintendo area. And that was really frustrating. Apparently you have to have brought a controller with you, because literally everyone had controllers like that they had brought from home in backpacks or in bags, or they just had them wherever. Another really cool thing that they had was the escape rooms, the mystery escape rooms. They were there, and it was $15, or I think if you had a group of 6, if you filled the room, I can't remember how many, it was $50. So it was like $10 cheaper if you had a group with you to do it, and that was awesome. I've never done one of them, and my friend and I went through them, and we actually beat it with 2 minutes to spare, which is apparently a big deal. And they also had a pinball whole section of pinball machines, and even like a little tournament to do the pinball games. I'm terrible at them, but they were still fun to kind of mess around with. And they also had, the typical little areas where you can compete and play and stuff. It was a really fun con. I will say that I had a good time. Probably just as many cosplayers. It was busier this year than it was last year, which is good for them to continue doing it. I actually bumped into Brian Brandenburg. He's the co-founder of Salt Lake Comic Con, and Salt Lake Comic Con, for those that don't know, actually purchased or invested or bought out whatever half of Gaming Con. So I think they're group partners of it now, or owners, or whatever the legal terms are. But I think that their influence has been beneficial. Their social media, advertising has been phenomenal, significantly better than before, and they had a good turnout. There were a lot of people, but it still wasn't overwhelming. Like Comic-Con can be kind of dodging the crowds, lots of people, and it can be a little bit hellacious. But the Sandy Expo Center is where the Gaming Con was, and it wasn't overwhelming, so it was really nice. And Brian Brandenburg, by the way, is super nice. He took a minute to chat with me, and so yeah, he was kind of fun to bump into. But I will say that overall Gaming Con, I think, is getting better and better each year. I wish that I had known to bring a controller to play the Nintendo section or the Wii section, because they had Smash Brothers, and my friend that I brought with me, she and I back in middle school and high school, she and I would play Smash Brothers together all the time. That was the extent of her gaming, and it was super nostalgic to have that there, but then it took us a good half an hour to kind of find someone that let us bum a controller off of them, and got a really interestingly awkward 3-man game of Smash Brothers with a total stranger who was very, very interesting. Probably hadn't talked to many girls before, let's just put it that way. But I wish that the two things that I think that they need to improve upon are more controllers for gameplay for the areas, or maybe better advertising that if you want to play these games you have to have your own controller. And then secondly, to the areas that they had these other bigger sections for Smash Brothers, like the newer ones, and also like Mario Kart and Halo, and they had a couple other like booths, I can't remember all the games. But I wish that they had more people manning those stations to kind of, I don't know, have people give up controllers, because as maybe it's just me being a girl, but walking up to areas, I'd stand behind someone, you know, waiting to get a controller to play, and they'd look at me and just keep playing. And I think they thought I was just being a spectator, just watching, didn't want to play. But that was a little annoying. And I'm not a very pushy, aggressive person, so I'm not going to be like, hey, you give me that controller. You know, I'm not going to be in someone's face. So that was a little bit annoying to have to stand and be a little, hey, you almost done? You know, to kind of have those little gentle prompts. So if you are going to a gaming con, or you're around a girl or a person, not even a girl, but someone that's like obviously wanting to play, you should probably get a controller. But I wish that next year that they have maybe more people, just volunteers kind of rotating through, and not even standing at the booths, but just kind of, you know, wandering and being like, hey, is everybody getting a turn, or like a 10-minute limit or whatever, and just rotate. They also had some VR stations that were really cool. I wanted to try it, but they had huge lines, so wasn't quite worth that. But overall, really, really fun. I had a good time, and I can't wait for next year. And also Comic-Con. Comic-Con's also the difference between the two, I've been asked a couple times, what's the difference between Comic-Con and Gaming Con? And I would say that the biggest difference is the panels and the interactive gaming aspect. Because at Comic-Con, they have a ton of panels with lots of celebrity guests, and Gaming Con had a few guests. If I was a big Overwatch fan, I would have been geeking out hardcore, because they had a lot of Overwatch cast members there that do the voiceovers. And I know that some people were, you know, stoked out of their minds to meet them, and that's cool. If you love that, if that's your thing, then I'm sure you would have had a good time. But the big difference between Comic-Con and Gaming Con, I'd say, is the panels and the interactive gaming. So, but just kind of depends on your gameplay, or on your flavor. So anyway, that's my thoughts. Overall, loved it, and it's getting better every year. Can't wait to see what they do next year. I hope that they just get bigger and bigger and bigger and build up forever, because gaming is my love. So anyway, that's all for my little chat here. I'm going to hop on with my Xbox and play some Deus Ex. If you want to join me there, you can. And follow me on Instagram. It's gamer.mandy, and that's with an I. And my team is GamersPressPlay, all one word. So, bye guys.